Okay, my name is Caroline Thornton. I'm the Communications Director for the Port Hope Citizens Association. That's the ratepayers group. If you want to know more about it, please see Joyce on this table at any time during the evening. Most importantly, could we please ask the candidates to move to the chairs on my left and right and sit on the chair that matches the ballot you selected. Now, you understand this is a random process? Weird. We have one candidate who has not shown up tonight, don't know why, and the only ballot left is the ballot number 1. So number 1 is scratched. In addition to that, there are 3 candidates running who are not in the room tonight. First one is Jeff Nees, who chose not to come. The second is Laurie Carr, who is traveling outside the country and could not rearrange that journey. She has sent her representatives. They're on my right at the end table, and they will be happy to speak on her behalf and distribute her material. And the third person who's not here this evening is Sam Whitaker, who's running in the urban ward, and he had a family emergency and could not make it this evening unexpectedly. So apart from that, the person who hasn't shown up, no reason, no explanation, is Colleen Haley. I know she's had knee surgery, maybe that's a factor. She's not here tonight. All the other candidates are here. If they'd like to take their seats, we will begin the process. And while they're moving to their seats, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen this afternoon, this evening. Just before we go forward, for the benefit of the candidates and the audience, if there is an emergency tonight, God forbid, there are emergency exits that are marked, so please leave in a calm, orderly fashion should that be required. So let's get back to the process. This evening is going to consist of 3 parts. The first one is going to be that each candidate will get 60 seconds to explain to you why they believe that they should have their vote. They can say whatever they like in 60 seconds, but it's basically a sales pitch. After each candidate has spoken, we will move to an open question period. And what that means is each candidate will go to the area where their signs are up, and you, the audience, get to ask any candidate 1 question. You may not ask 2 or 6 or 9 or any other number, 1 question, because then you need to move on to another candidate so someone else can speak to that candidate. And we ask, please, in this interchange, that you are succinct. I know of one person who likes to pose questions in paragraphs, or no, actually books. And so by the time they finish speaking, the day is over. So could you please ask your question in a very direct, concise way, and I would ask the candidates to please be succinct in their answers, because otherwise it's going to be a really long night. So there's a whole period of about 45 minutes where you can rotate, speak to any candidate, ask 1 question, and then move on and continue so that everybody gets a chance to interact with candidates. The last part of the evening after that interchange is to bring everybody back to their seats here, and we're going to ask each candidate to present back to you, the audience, the question they felt was most compelling of all the questions they were asked. Once they've told you what the question is, they're going to give you their own answer. So what did they say in response to that question? Once all the questions and the answers have been presented, we're going to close the evening, and you can all go home with a very sure, confident decision about who you'd like to vote for. So, one small thing I forgot to mention. How will we stop from going beyond 60 seconds? I have the answer. If you hear that bell, candidates, you're out of time. Is that clear enough? I think they can hear it. So, in order of speaking, Terry Hickey, who's a candidate for mayor, is the first speaker, and then would you please pass the microphone along the line? Thank you. Hang on 1 second, Terry, I have to set up my timer. Okay, Terry, go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming this evening. And a couple of things I want to say. Number one is that the single most important factor to me is to be able to walk around the community. And when I say community, I mean the urban and the rural wards. To get to speak to literally hundreds of people in the past month. And what I found is that there's some common factors here. People want more. They want more accountability. They want more transparency. They want more understanding of what's going on. They want better communication. And that's what I'm here to give. One of the key things to me right now is also making sure that we attend to something that we haven't done for a long, long time. And that is that we try more adventurously, with more assertiveness, to bring both our rural and urban wards together. That is a very necessary thing that we must do, and I think if we don't pay attention to it, we're missing a golden opportunity to really define and bring the community together. There are a lot of different projects that I want to be involved in, that a mayor should be involved in. Your mayor should be able to champion a number of projects for the entire community, and that's what I bring here tonight.
Thank you. Bob Sanderson is the next speaker.
Welcome everybody, and my platform is very simple: working together to keep Port Hope. And it means something to every one of you, and it might be different. Over the last 4 years, we've delivered on every promise we made. We have totally restructured our management team so it is collaborative and efficient. We're saving $1.2 million on administration alone. We also have changed our meetings. We're meeting once every 2 weeks. Again, the resources and the efficiency is incredible. We've developed a strategic plan that's yours. It's a public one that guides us forward. We've increased the business tax base in Port Hope. The business park that was empty is now full. But there's more to do, and I commit to getting it done with the support of your new council. With only 2 incumbents running, you have a max of 2 people staying on council, and you have a new council. I'm also committed to working with them, and I think giving them space, let them bring their ideas forward. So it's not time at this point to bring in a new mayor. Looking for your vote. Carry on, we'll be over there for questions. Thank you.
The next speaker is Todd Outridge. He's a candidate in the urban ward.
Thanks very much. It's always great to have a chance to speak directly with the community, and I'm honored to be standing here with such excellent candidates tonight. The question is, why vote for me? I spent the past 25 years as a business leader, developing executives and writing strategic plans. I own a business consulting firm that specializes in helping brands like McDonald's, Pepsi, Swiss Chalet bring their strategies to life. I do this by teaching their leaders how to listen to their people, recognize their talents, and understand their concerns, predict future risks, and create action plans that actually work. I believe my skills are relevant to municipal council, and when elected, will help improve communication, collaboration, and cooperation so we can bring our strategic plan to life. My only reason for running is because I want to get back to the community. I believe by sharing a lifetime of experience, I can help shape Port Hope's future the way you want to see it shaped. Thank you.
The next speaker is Ian Everdell. Ian is also a candidate in the urban ward.
Good evening. I'm running because I intend to live here for 50 years. My kids are going to grow up here, and I want Port Hope to stay special and grow responsibly. I have a background in neuroscience and market research, helping businesses understand their customers. You are council's customers, so you deserve a council that listens to your needs, your goals, your pains, and acts on them. There are 3 key things that I think council is going to have to address in the next 4 years. One is the ability to live here. We need affordable housing. We need to figure out long-term care. People can't afford to move here or stay here, and that's a problem for our future. The second is we need a vibrant economy and culture. The waterfront's going to be a key part of that over the next 4 years as the cleanup gets going. I'm very excited about the Heritage Registry being implemented so that we can protect our history, and I look forward to supporting all of our amazing community groups who are already doing such great work. The third thing is open communication from the municipality. I want to make sure that you get the information you need in a plain language and timely manner. When you get that information from council and from the town, that doesn't give misinformation and rumors time to get started. And you'll feel more connected to what's going on. I look forward to talking to you all tonight. If you don't get around to me, please get in touch.
Tony Jenkins is also running in the urban ward.
Actually, I'm hobbling.
He is moving towards candidacy in the urban ward. Yes, Tony.
The first thing that everybody wants to know about me is how did you hurt your foot? We only have 60 seconds, so if you want to find the answer to that question, you better come and talk to me. Now, who am I? I've been called a lot of things. Preservationist. I believe in the preservations of heritage buildings, and that includes the hospitals on Ward Street. I believe in the preservation of neighborhoods. We're a fantastic community of excellent neighborhoods, and we'd like to see them well managed and well preserved. I'm a preservationist interested in seeing farmland, the white and black subdivision sites of quality. Rural vistas, fabulous country to the north, and I wouldn't want to come around the corner and see wind turbines and solar farms. Our streetscapes, our trees are so important, but they are threatened by a number of things, including our own cleanup initiative. And the natural features of our town, the river, the waterfront, including the West Beach, are something that are really precious, and they've been here 10,000 years, some of them, or more, and we need to look after them. I'm also a socialist, which means I believe. Thank you.
The next speaker is Wendy Meadows. Wendy is also a candidate in the urban ward.
Okay, hi. First and foremost, the reason you should vote for me is my passion for Port Hope. People who know me know that over the years I've constantly shown this, whether it's through sitting on committees, organizing rallies when something has faced us that we need to address. And I have built my business for 25 years in the downtown core of Port Hope, St. Lawrence Flowers, so we've invested our trust in the community. I was raised here, I've raised my children here, and my grandchildren are being raised here. My mother continues to live here. So we're, on every level of this community, interested in any concern that someone might address with our family, ourselves, as you are with yourselves and your families. Whether it's availability of daycare for our little ones, safe sidewalks, jobs for our kids, affordable housing for our families to stay here and live here, or long-term health care for our parents or ourselves very soon. All of these concerns concern me as they concern you, and I would like to work with them on you to address these issues and still stand up without my legs shaking so bad. And I just want to thank you. Thanks for your support. Vote for me.
The next candidate is Ken Morton, who is running in the rural ward.
You would be hard-pressed to disagree with the platform of most candidates. We all want a better Port Hope, a vibrant family town, affordable housing, waterfront development, a seniors activity center, and more. But these can only happen if we have a strong municipality that is financially stable, efficiently operated, has solid plans for the future, and communicates with its citizens. If we are to realize our vision of Port Hope, there are 7 things that need to be resolved over the next 4 years. We've got to rein in our municipal expenditures and stop the annual tax increase. We have to create new jobs for our residents, especially our young people. We have to provide clear, concise communications to our community, and we've got to fix all 103 roads in the rural ward. We need to revisit the purchase of Lakeland Place, bring high-speed internet to Ward 2, and make the strategic plan realistic. Now, I know how to do all these things because I've already solved similar problems over 40 years in business and community work. I would be pleased to talk to you in more detail.
The next speaker is John Rickle. He is also a candidate in the rural ward.
Okay, for those of you who don't know me, I'm John Rickle. I've been a resident of Welcome for the last 33 years, where I've raised 2 boys with my wife Alice. I'm the only candidate this evening standing here in front of this audience that sat through the negotiations and the talks for the amalgamation. I understand what was laid on the table by both urban and rural, and what has been lost and taken away from the rural over the years. I plan to put the Hope back in Hope Township. I'm hoping that you support it.
The next speaker is Will Lambert, and he is a candidate for councillor in the urban ward.
Good evening. I'm a firefighter with Toronto Fire Service and will retire in January with 33 years complete, the last 8 of those as a captain in operations. But I'm also a trained fish and wildlife technician, a husband, father, grandfather, social and political activist, a community volunteer who has served on many committees and boards. I was not born here, but 19 years ago chose to make Port Hope my home because it is a great place full of wonderful people. Port Hope has charm and character that cannot be found in other communities. We have rolling forested hills, tree-lined streets, the Ganaraska River, an amazing waterfront, a great heritage downtown area, and vibrant, growing arts and culture community. We are surrounded by a high-quality agricultural land that is well-managed and dotted with successful small businesses. Port Hope is exactly what many individuals, families, and businesses are looking for, and we need to protect it. If elected, I will fight to protect the natural, cultural, and economic assets of this community that make it a great place to live, work, and play.
The next candidate is Les Andrews. Les Andrews is currently a council member, and he is running as a representative of the urban ward.
Just in case you didn't hear, my name is Les Andrews, and I'm seeking re-election to council in the urban area. Over the past 4 years, my attention on council was focused on improving the financial and administrative well-being of our community. Happily, our financial picture is much brighter. Substantial back taxes have been collected, our bank debt is 0, and we are starting to add to our reserves. Council can now turn its focus on issues such as affordable housing, long-term health care, managing the growth both residential and industrial that has come and is coming our way, and making Port Hope more pedestrian friendly by slowing the traffic down through increased enforcement of speeds and better signage. We don't need to make Port Hope a great place to live. We need to keep Port Hope as a great place to live. I want you to vote for a vibrant Port Hope. Vote Les Andrews.
The next speaker is Peter Angelo. Peter Angelo is also a candidate in the rural ward.
Good evening. My name is Peter Angelo, and I'm running for Ward 2 Council to put Ward 2 issues first, front and center. I've got a real simple platform. To my friends and neighbors in Ward 2, if you want better roads, better snow plowing, and better taxes, then vote Angelo. My wife Jennifer and I have been raising 5 children here in Port Hope in Ward 2 for the last decade, and we're committed here. I'm the only one looking for a seat in Ward 2 that has senior level municipal experience. I know budgets and I know where to get the cuts. I'll repeat again. To my friends in Ward 2, if you want better roads, better snow plowing, and better taxes, then vote Angelo. And just a word of caution to my Ward 1 candidates, please keep your fingers off our transfer station because we're keeping it under my watch. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Vicky Ming. Vicky is also a candidate in the rural ward.
Good evening. So I've been spending a lot of time the past few weeks going around speaking with people from Ward 2. I started off with 3 main issues that I felt were important to the Ward 2 candidates. And if you go back to my table, you'll find a long list of other issues that were brought to my attention. so I'm listening to what you're saying. One of the biggest issues, the most common issue that's brought to me is that Ward 2 residents don't feel that they're properly represented, having only 2 candidates on council. While that's true, I think what's more important is picking a candidate that is able to bring cohesion between the 2 wards, someone who's able to work with the other councillors on council. We have some great Ward 1 councillors here, and I've enjoyed working with them so far, and I wholeheartedly believe that if I'm elected, as well as if they're elected, we will work together with Ward 1 and Ward 2 to bring forth your issues. So I'm asking you, when you're making your selection on who you vote for, qualifications are important, but what's more important is picking a team that can work together, and I'm hoping Ward 1 and Ward 2 voters can come together and pick that team. Thank you.
The next speaker is Brian Coggins, and he too is running in the rural ward.
Thank you. I would like to go a little differently than the rest of the candidates have done, and I'm going to give you my commitment to the residents of Ward 2, the rural area. I will represent everyone in Ward 2 at the council table. I will be open to all concerns and comments of all citizens. I will attend all council, committee of the whole, budget committee, and special council meetings in their entirety. I will ensure that all information disseminated is fact-checked and verified before being released. I will respect all individuals in municipal dealings. I will strive to build on the foundation and accomplishments that are already in place. And I will look to the future when dealing with issues that come before council, and to listen to all sides before voting.
The final speaker is Miles Bowman, and he is a candidate in the urban ward.
Hello, I'm Miles Bowman, and I'm running because I want to protect democracy. I want more democratic engagement, higher voter turnout, and credible and accurate information to make its way to the public. I have a PhD in neuroscience and currently lead strategic planning at my university, UOIT. I work with and understand people, and I deliver results. I'm locally involved, and I'm raising my family here because I love Port Hope. Tonight, I meet with you to show you what kind of candidate I am. Although I'm here tonight, I do not support PHCA's election platform, nor their actions during this election cycle. The PHC gets to endorse 2 of its board members tonight, and seemingly does not recognize this conflict of interest. Their leadership has spread misinformation online and refused to correct it, hidden behind anonymous writing, and avoided questions about their function and membership. As tonight is all about questions, I encourage each of you to think about what kind of candidate you would trust and how they have demonstrated their leadership. For my part, I'm looking forward to answering more in person.
Thank you very much to all the candidates for their material, and that gives you a tiny glimpse into each person's position. So we're going to ask the candidates to move back to their places on various tables, and then everybody in the room is free to go and ask one question of any candidate with whom they wish to speak. We will resume here at 5 to 8. Good time while we were chattering and talking to the candidates. We're actually ahead of schedule, which is always exciting, because people asked us to wrap up that portion of the evening a little sooner, which is fine. So we're going to give the candidates 2 minutes this time to present their question and get their answer, and they may only need 30 seconds. So if they're ahead of time, that's perfectly fine. And in order to be somewhat fair, we're going to start at this end and go in reverse order. So whoever was first shall be last. You know that thing, right? So Thank you very much for asking good questions. Now we'll find out what they were. So the first person to speak will be Ian.
Miles.
Sorry, Miles Bowman from the Urban Ward.
Hi everyone. My shining question that I got was about how to find information about the election. A number of people have indicated to me that it's difficult to find out more about all of the people up here who are trying to get their message out. And so basically, where can I find unbiased information, but also that expands on all of the wonderful candidates' positions? And in fact, there's this great resource that I want to point you toward. It's basically being run by a gentleman who cares a lot about democracy, and it's at www.porthopepolitics.ca. If you follow the typing of that out, you can actually go right to the page /election-2018. There you can find a complete list of all of the individuals who are running radio interviews, podcast interviews, TV interviews, and a whole wealth of information that I think will help all of you to make an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miles. And just to add to that, Port Hope Politics is here videotaping this evening's program, and we'd like to thank them very much for their willingness to do that. The next person is Brian Hoggins from the Rural Ward.
Well, I think those of you who are from the Rural Ward probably had three basic questions: roads, taxes, internet. So I'm going to refer at the moment to roads, because I think that is a key issue for everyone that uses the roads. First of all, the current council has developed a plan for developing road rebuilding, road reconstruction over a 5-year period. They have committed $450,000 a year to that project. There is also something else with regards to that, and that is that at the moment there is a crew out in all areas of the municipality examining the roads, the road underpinnings, the road base, the road surfaces, and they will be coming out with a complete review and analysis of that project. And we will hopefully find then which roads are in dire need of repair, and there are many, so they will have to be prioritized. And my goal is to make sure that that is done, that everybody is aware of their own road, and make sure that they know when there's going to be something done. So that was one of the big questions that came up, and I think it's important that all the council deal with that issue.
Thank you very much. Vicki Meng is also a rural candidate.
So I chose a question different from the main three issues, and that is, on my sheet, a question that's been brought up by many residents is problems that might happen in the North Ward once the 407 is completed. And is there a risk of development along the north corridor from that? I grew up in the north area of Durham region, if anybody's familiar with Brooklyn. That has been completely developed, and farmland is now owned by developers. So I've watched this firsthand, and it is a very valid concern. I can see developers buying land in Kirby, Kendall, and moving along the line. There is the concern of residents right now not being able to build on their own property, the bylaws restricting that, and so on. So I just think Port Hope needs to be very, very careful that we don't allow developers to come in and sneak in the back door and develop these communities too quickly when we're not even allowing our own farms and businesses from building in our community. So I don't think there's going to be development in the next 4 years, but this is something that we really need to watch carefully, not let developers decide what's best for us, but we make the decisions for ourselves and just make sure that we maintain the rural ward the way it is.
candidates in the rural ward are sitting next to each other, and yet this was random ballot wrong. However, Peter Angelo is next, and he's also a rural ward representative.
Thank you. I have a very similar set of questions, but not exactly the same as what Vicki just described. Questions I had this evening, as well as questions that I had previously out on the campaign trail, really revolve around why can I not have a severance on my rural farmland when the land hasn't been arable for years, hasn't been farmed for 25 years, is not primary? Why can't I have another severance? So I've been spending a fair amount of time tonight discussing exactly that issue. It's really a question of what we want as a community in terms of official plan and zoning bylaw. At the end of the day, we can change our current official plan policies and our zoning bylaw policies to prevent more severances in the rural area. Yes, control doesn't have to be a free-for-all in accordance with big developers buying it up. We're not talking about that. Simply, we have a policy that only allows 1 or 2 severances over the lifespan of the property. And that can be changed. I had a person talk about their property on the 5th line, chunk of property in between several houses. You could easily build another house. Hasn't been farmed, more or less completely developable. I think this is an opportunity for us. And if I'm elected in Ward 2, I will be a strong voice to encourage change in our official plan policies and our zoning bylaws to prevent more, not a free-for-all, but more severances in the rural area for those properties that are not constrained by environmental protection zones, that are not constrained by prime agricultural soils, but properties that can reasonably be severed and build another house, whether it's for your own family or whether you want to sell it to others. But at the end of the day, I've had a lot of questions about severances and why can't we have more, and I think that's entirely up to us as a community, particularly in Ward 2, to approve it. Many of you may know, but the Ward 2 councillors actually have 2 votes on council when it comes to planning policy statements. So we can override, in essence, the urban vote. So we would have a total of 4 votes. So if this is something that the rural people want, and I will be a strong voice towards that. Thank you.
Ken Andrews is running in the urban ward.
Who?
Sorry, Les Andrews.
That's okay, Joan. Thanks very much. I think in the general theme of topics, the one that came up to me is one that I'm going to have to repeat from last week, and that's affordable housing. And Peter, we in the urban area wouldn't stand in the way of getting more housing up in the rural area, because we certainly do need it. Some of the issues around affordable housing is sort of the name affordable housing. First of all, it really is a bit of a misnomer in that it covers 4 distinct groups. It covers young people trying to get in, seniors that are on fixed income, trying to stabilize the housing costs that they're enduring, yes, the homeless, but also the long-term care residents. I mean, they are residents, and we're going to need more and more. Southbridge is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to need more than one nursing long-term care home in our area. I know we've got potentially 3, but we're going to need a lot more. Some of the ideas I had last week that were sort of off the top of my head when it came to affordable housing is, one, increasing the density on the land as it becomes available. If, for instance, there's a house on Ward Street that was taken down, and it must be 75 by 250 feet. Now, if we allowed the house to be turned facing east-west as opposed to north-south, we could probably put 3 townhomes in there and lower the per cost per townhouse. That would be one way of doing it. The other thing I had in mind was to lobby the provincial and federal government and county governments to stop studying the problem, spending money on studies and consultants. Give us that money. We'll go buy a house from Mason Homes and say, okay, Mason Homes, you're going to sell us that house at your cost and a little bit of profit. And we're going to turn that house over to somebody a family, and gear it to their income. And take that income that we get, let's say it's $1,200 a month, and divide that by 3 and give 3 or 4 people $300 or $400 each to subsidize their rent. Is it time already? Okay, thank you.
the next speaker is Will Lambert, who's also running in the urban ward.
Okay, it may not surprise you to know that I'm going to talk about 65 Ward Street and the old hospital and its designation. I am actually for designating the old hospital, but before you start throwing things, let me tell you why. The property that they want to develop is too small for the facility they want to build. It's not going to be appropriate. It's going to lack green spaces. It may lack sufficient parking. It's also going to put those folks in a situation where for 2.5 years they will have an ongoing active construction site right next door. And I remind you that they're in a building which is not air conditioned, so their windows will be open so they will get the full benefit of the dust and the noise and the confusion next door. It's going to be very stressful for them. The town has identified several lots that are large enough for what they would like to build, that they can talk to the town about and choose from. Far better, in my opinion, to build the ideal facility elsewhere in town and then move the residents into it when it's all done, rather than put them through the headache of construction or build on a site that is too small to give them adequate green spaces and parking.
The next speaker is John Mickle, who's running in the rural ward.
Two questions I was asked. One was welcome water issue. The other was our transfer site. I'm going to speak on the transfer site. I'm 100% for keeping it. It's one of the cleanest, neatest transfer sites we have in the county. You go to Bewdley, go to Seymour, there is stuff going around inside the fences, up against the fences. We don't have that. Our site is clean. The one thing that people wanted me to ask was to get a show of hands from the rest of the candidates sitting up here on who is in favor of our transfer site staying and who's in favor of closing it.
How many of you would be in favor of keeping it as is? No? Apparently, the candidates don't think you should be asking that kind of question.
What I was asked.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. The next speaker is Ken Morton, who is also running in the rural ward.
I was asked a wide variety of questions, but the one theme running through all of the questions was how do I get information about anything in this municipality? We don't have newspapers as we used to have them, and for some reason the Facebook of and the website of the municipality don't seem to supply the information that people need. And I think it's critical to understand exactly what's going on in a way that covers a clear reporting and objective reporting of it. What I'm proposing is that the municipality publish a printed newsletter, probably 4 times, if not 6 times a year, and be distributed to every household in the municipality. And it doesn't have to cost us any money eventually. We can get advertising to pay for it, but it should be something that covers everything that has gone on in council meetings, every other thing that is of interest to us as it affects us, whether it be taxes or lifestyle or things that are important to us. Thank
you. Wendy Meadows is from the urban ward.
Hi. Since a few of them are taken, one that I'm very passionate on that I have been asked about tonight a number of times is our West Beach and the proposed ring road that is going to be maybe built on it. And I'm very much hoping that it is not, and that there are a lot of great sessions that Restore the West Beach Committee has had. They're inviting people to come down to walk the beach with them, see where the proposed road might be, so that we can be part of the environmental assessment that's upcoming, because we are part of the environment that is going to live around that road, and we can have an impact on that study to hopefully get them to pick a plan B or C of where maybe it might better go than plan A that doesn't work for a lot of us. And there is an environmental assessment coming up. I believe it's on October 10th. And 6 p.m. at Town Hall. Thank you very much. And I think it's just really important that even though Chemico is going to be purchasing this road and installing it at their cost, we are the ones that are going to own it and maintain it. We're going to have to rebuild it when it washes out. We're going to have to salt it and sand it and deal with what that salt and sand is going to do to everything living on our beach. There will be industrial lighting. I just want you to inform yourselves and form a decision, and please just participate and let your thoughts be known. Thanks so much.
We will give Tony Jenkins a few extra moments to get comfortable so that he can present his question.
That might take about 3 months if you want me to get comfortable. And for all of you who do want to know, I was chasing a younger woman. She was intent on putting a ticket on my car. I looked great, but I wasn't moving that well. I heard a pop. There was no pop can there. It was my Achilles tendon. Thank you. Oh, and she didn't give me a ticket. Will has spoke very well to the issue of the hospital, the long-term care facility at 65 Ward Street. Their site not being adequate for the redevelopment that's proposed from the point of view of the staff and the residents. Not much we can add to that. Thank you, Will. But that development that's proposed is also one that's going to be damaging to the neighborhood. Building sidewalk to sidewalk will, in a style that doesn't suit the neighborhood. The neighborhood's a wonderful mix of old and newer buildings, and it's a very small scale. To have this situation visited upon us would be most uncomfortable. I believe, as well does, that everybody would be much better served if a different site was selected and developed than the one that they now own and want to develop for their own reasons. That then begs the question of what do you do with the site? And the buildings there, the heritage buildings at least, are excellent candidates for restoration or adaptive reuse. I know these things. I've just finished a 42-year career as a heritage restoration contractor specializing in adaptive reuse of heritage buildings. Speaking particularly about the 1915 hospital building, it's an ideal candidate for reuse. It's just the way we like to find them. It's not encumbered by many or any inappropriate additions, renovations, or alterations. It's remarkably sound, it's level, it's square, it's true. It can be worked with and worked with very well. If I was to own that property, which I never will, or if I had the ear of whoever owned it after Southbridge, I would recommend that that building in particular would be an excellent candidate for socially responsible housing. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Ian Everdale, who's a candidate in the urban ward, and I'd like to mention that his grandmother is in the audience.
My grandmother, my grandfather, on two sides of the family. I like to call myself new but familiar. I've only lived here for 2 years, but I spent a ton of time here as a kid. So I have both sides of that story. Everything that's been set up here makes a lot of sense, and I think we all heard sort of the same 3 or 4 questions. One of the things that I'm blessed with having family in the area is that people come up to me and say, you know, oh, I'm voting for you because I know your grandmother. And that's wonderful. Thank you. I also have people coming up to me and saying, I wish I could vote for you, but I live in Ward 2. Again, thank you. Tell your friends. But what I'm trying to get at here is make sure you take the time to get to know all of these people. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses. We all have our own ideas about what council can be. And one of the really important things is that, you know, if you're in Ward 1, you get to pick 4 people. If you're in Ward 2, you get to pick 2 people. You know, don't just pick one. Make sure you're thinking about the whole team. You know, there are people up here with all kinds of different backgrounds who would be really great in particular portfolios on council. So again, take the time to get to know all of us. If you didn't get a chance to talk to us tonight, most of us have stuff online. We're all pretty accessible. Again, visit porthopepolitics.ca to get all of that information to contact us. We have 2 more meetings coming up next week. There's another all candidates meeting in this sort of style on the 9th here at the high school, put on by the Chamber of Commerce. There's an open town hall style one on the 10th at 7 o'clock at the Lions Center. So please, please, please take the time to get to know all of us so that you can make an informed decision. Again, I appreciate everyone who's voting for me, but what's more important for me is that you go out and vote. Thanks.
The next speaker is Todd Attridge, who's also running in the urban ward.
Thanks very much. Lots of great questions tonight. Thanks so much. Great turnout. It was fantastic meeting so many people. The standout question for me was actually a really simple one. And someone came up to me and said, what do you think about the divide between Ward 1 and Ward 2? And you know, the answer to it, I think, comes more in the form of a challenge. And the challenge comes to the new council, whoever they may be, is we need to stop looking at Ward 1, Ward 2, rural, urban. We need to start recognizing that we're neighbors and friends and people with needs and people need help, and we need to see what's actually important, and we need to focus on those issues and solve those issues. It does not matter where you live. It is about looking at the municipality. And one of the things that I had said in my answer when I was asked this question is, I may end up as a Ward 1 councillor, but at the end of the day, we've got to look at the entire municipality. And if that means that, you know, we're fighting tooth and nail to get internet, we're fighting tooth and nail to, you know, save a heritage building, it does not matter. So my challenge to the council, whoever you may be, is just make sure that we're pulling this municipality together. If there's a hatchet to be buried, bury it. And I would give the exact same challenge to every one of you. All right, it's time to pull together.
The next speaker is Bob Sanderson, who is, of course, running for mayor.
Yes, thanks for organizing this and thanks for coming out. I don't have to say much. Todd just said a lot of what I think should be said and how we should be thinking. As you know, I'm saying, you know, let's keep Port Hope. Let's identify. We are primarily an agricultural community, and we deal with the issues, and we've been out hitting on the doors, and they're common. Their roads, their internet, their lifestyles. Right? And to understand the lifestyles are different between urban citizens and rural is in essence what we do. We are family. So the questions that I had kind of came to the same source, which is, can you give me assurance and do you understand that there's differences in how do we keep them together? We keep them together with you folks, understanding that there are issues and we will solve them. You have some great candidates here. We'll have a great council. And from everything I can see, we're on a roll with respect to being one family, one community, and we need to protect ourselves from being steamrolled by some of the development that's coming forward. And that's going to take some hard work and some commitment from everybody. One farmer's going to want to cut his farm up, one's not going to. We need to be stewards of this community so that 25 to 50 years from now, our kids and our grandkids want to stay and live here. Thank you.
The final speaker is Terry Hickey, who is also running the position of mayor.
I'm going to address the long-term care issue as well. I know I have a number of other candidates here who will address that. I'm going to address it differently because in the hundreds of people with whom I've spoken in the past month, one of the big issues that come up is, what about 65 Ward Street? What about a building that's been derelict for 12 years? What about a building that could be derelict for another 20 years? I understand and appreciate the comments that you've made, Tony, and that you've made, Will. But the problem is, we have to look at this in a very broad way. Number one is, people in long-term care in Port Hope rely on us to help them, not to hinder them. They rely on us to allow them to stay in Port Hope, not potentially, and I do say potentially, be moved somewhere else. I understand that any Southbridge would like to have a 4-acre parcel to do that, But they have admitted to the fact that they can do it within that framework, and I believe they can do it within that framework. At the same time, the building that has been derelict for so many years gets removed. Because one of the things people have said to me is that why are we not taking care of that building? We have enough buildings in the municipality that have not been taken care of. I realize there's the slogan, seniors before buildings, but this is far more than seniors. This is long-term care. They're not all seniors in that building. I know a number of people who are in their 20s and 30s. And so we functionally need to be able to work with these people and help them stay here. And that is a very doable thing. And for us to say that we're going to keep that building, we're potentially going to allow 160 people to move somewhere else and 100 plus jobs to move somewhere else. Is that a municipal council doing the job you want them to do? I don't really think it is. I mean, is this what we're going to do? Is this what developers are going to see coming in? That, no, we'll say yes, but no.
So that was really interesting. I'd like to thank all the candidates for presenting their questions and the answers, and it was very informative and very much appreciated. There are just two other people I need to thank before we leave. One of them is Joyce Mathis, who's sitting at this table over here, and she took on the role of managing the logistics and organizing the place and the time and all the details, and she did a fabulous job. Thank you. People I have to thank are really unusual and special and amazing, and I just met them by chance last week, thank God. If they could stand up, Peter and Anya are visiting our town from Germany, and they have an extraordinary business. They are you ready? Balloon artists. Ta-da! The pièce de resistance is when you leave here, because it was still being kind of constructed, not everybody saw when they came in. When you walk out, turn around, please, and just admire the huge, colorful, beautiful arch they've made for us. It is stunningly beautiful. And on the bottom of your bios, there's a little message thanking them, and it gives you their website, colorhex.com. If you're having a party, a celebration, a corporate event, if you want to do something wild and wonderful with balloons, these people can make it happen. Thank you. I'd like to thank the audience for your attention and your engagement this evening. I'd like to thank the candidates for giving us their time and their energy, and I wish you all a safe drive home.